Thank you, and welcome Natalia and Maxime on stage. Let's play.
Hello. Oh, first, thank you very much. I don't know, did you know, but I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. So thank you. It was right in my heart. And you're probably wondering why there's food on the screen, right? It's supposed to be a data conference. Well, there's food on the screen because we think that the art of creating a data product is quite similar to the art of creating a meal, right? There are some raw ingredients, there are some transformations to do, and there is also a visualization part. And we think that the raw ingredients are quite a necessary condition to success. If you're preparing like a ratatouille, for example, and your onions are getting duplicated, well, from this point, it's more like an onion soup than what you wanted to prepare. But you can argue with me in this case. You can say, well, the issue is obvious. We see it, right? Let's just send the message and fix it. I mean, let's just ask a person to fix it. Yes, or maybe it's not that much of a good idea. Well, you can continue arguing with me. You can say, well, we still see the good value and the bad value. Let's just map them together in a spreadsheet. We all love spreadsheets, right? Yes, until you need a mapping of your mappings.
And now let's flip the script. Imagine you spent weeks, maybe months, crafting a new beautiful dish. It's tailor-made for your customers, and you know they will love it because it is a brand new dish that is very good, and because it is made only for your customers. But when you go check, your restaurant is still empty. One customer came and directly threw away. And as you are data people and as you may relate to these two problems, I'm sure that you will be interested in this talk. And today we were going to talk about the recipe that we implemented at BlaBlaCar to finally be able to close the loop between you and your stakeholders that can be either data producer or data consumer.
And we are, I'm Natalia. I work on bus and train side of BlaBlaCar for CE in Latam.
And I'm Maxime. I work also as a data analyst in the Western Europe basis squad. So for those who don't know, we are working at BlaBlaCar. So BlaBlaCar aims to be the go-to marketplace for shared travel. When we are talking about shared travel, we are talking about different types of shared travel. So it can be either the carpool, that is the main one, but also sometimes the bus or the train. And BlaBlaCar acts often as a marketplace for this type of shared travel. But BlaBlaCar is also providing the BlaBlaBus. So it is a business that is directly operated by BlaBlaCar.
So let's look closer at our producers. And let's go back to our onions. I think French people are normally very good at cooking. This is what I learned. And we know the actually good solution here. The good solution here is what we call a data contract, right? It's an agreement between data producers and us about what's inside the data. And you can ask, like, what is data contract for you? Well, in our specific case, it was just a one-pager, in fact. So the emphasis on the agreement part. But it's not just a data contract. It's a data contract which is supposed to solve the problem of our data team, which means four things, which means that we want this data contract to be proactively kept by our data producers. We don't want to chase them to make them correct the value. It should be maintainable. If not, it's not so much of a value compared to the G-sheets, finally. You probably don't want to create the whole new ecosystem for this process, so it should be consistent with your existing tools. And also, this contract should be flexible enough, because you might have some exceptions, you might have historical data, etc., etc. If not, our team may be blocked, because basically without the good values, performance analytics or any kind of analytics, it's quite complicated. And even if you try to map it like a G sheet, try to maintain those, Well, first, you will spend a lot of time doing that, and not only your team, but stakeholders as well. And in the end, some discrepancies will be absolutely unavoidable. And there is a risk to end up here, which is lost trust in your data. And it's very hard to get it back once you're there. So let's step back from the onions and deep dive into the actual business case. So it's a bus ticket distribution. Imagine we have external partners. It can be everything, right? It can be bus operators, it can be a station, it can be distributors, something. And we offer this data on our platform, right? So what kind of data quality issues we can get here? Well, imagine there are 3 data sources. Let's say it's a bus station, bus aggregator, and the company itself. And they all offer the same bus partner, same one. But the first decided to call it LHC My Beautiful Bus. For the seconds is Beautiful Bus Group. And the third just thinks that the French is beautiful language and it's Mon Beau Bus. And G-Sheet is very tempting here, right? Like, we see the good value, we know, we can just map them. Well, yes, until you actually see the size of the problem. Imagine you find yourself maintaining a 9K G-Sheet, which keeps growing, right? Because there are new carriers which are joining the platform. Not a really enjoyable task. So trying to give a general definition, it's usually hard, but we think there are 3 points in common. Like, if we're trying to answer what is the data quality issue which can come from producer side. So first, it's external, meaning that it's received from another company or another team as well. Second, it's not what we expected, so it breaches the contract. And third, it's impossible to build analytics on the data as is. So there has to be some change to be done. In reality, we need the answers to the 4 questions. We need to know what is the team who's producing the data, at which step we can agree with them what kind of data we want to have, with which tool we can do it, and how to communicate to maintain this contract. Great. Let's take the journey of our data here, right? And the first point is the external data. Again, imagine, can be everything, can be bus carrier, can be bus station. To add complexity, they are from different countries, they speak different languages, and there are, for sure, different ways of working. So, in our case, no data contract was possible at this stage. Absolutely none. At this stage, we barely know what's inside the data. So we go to the second step, where carrier actually starts working with BlaBlaCar, with us. And so we work with our account manager team, who's the sales team, who's supposed to onboard the carrier and like help the partner with BlaBlaCar. And this is exactly the place where we can have our contract. And this is exactly the place where we should have the right value came into our system, right? But great, now the actual like bus data starts coming into our tech systems, right? And this is the moment where we need to make sure that we indeed pass the right values, and the right values are registered in the right dictionaries, because as you imagine, there might be many. So how? Of course, you can write a lot of messages, but that's probably not what you want. Instead, we did an integration with Salesforce and Slack. So what's happening? This is a request triggered from Salesforce by the account manager. And this is getting redirected to the precise Slack channel for the relevant team. And you see, like, okay, please update the following carriers. That's the name, that's the right ID. And the team is also able to react to this request, whether it's done, whether it's acknowledged, etc., etc. But great, now hopefully your data is clean and they're getting to the warehouse in a clean form. And here comes the crucial part, Because how do you close the loop, right? How do you know whether it's finally a good value or not? And how do you know whether you should send it back, right? So how to do this? So in terms of the monitoring, we have two. First, it's on the account level. So imagine we send the data from data warehouse to Salesforce, and account managers is able to check, like, okay, for my account, there's A, B, C, D names and IDs being mapped, and ABC is correct and D is not. So I create the request and I go back to my technical team to make sure that I have the right value. And we have a Tableau monitoring to monitor the overall performance, of course. So that's our loop being closed, right? So from the external data, we contracted our internal team with Salesforce. We ingest already, hopefully, clean data. Then we monitor the data, and if it's not clean, we are able to send it back. And what's good is that by we, I don't mean the data team. So a couple of lessons here. So these are the 4 points from the beginning, right? So how to make producers be proactive on the contract. Try to change the mindset from client to consultant, meaning, well, I was asked to do this task, well, I did it by, to the working group mindset, right? They need to see the value, they need to understand that they can benefit themselves from what they're doing and from the clean data. How to make it maintainable? Well, automate communication as much as you can and monitor the process. Regarding being consistent, that's the crucial point as well, because you need to choose your source of truth here, what kind of tool you want to use. In our case, for example, we chose Salesforce, although Salesforce is not really a master data tool, but it was the tool which is the closest to our data producers. And we listed all our use cases. And for example, for us, we developed an additional algorithm to cover the historical data use case. That's it on my side. And for sure, our producers and consumers would be using the data right now, right?
So now that you know how to clean your data and how to let your stakeholder do it for you, we will come back to our kitchen. So, as you may know, data analysts loves building dashboards. And in order to do this, they need to go through a long recipe of tasks. So they need first to gather the needs, then they need to choose the best solution and to implement it, to deliver possibly a dashboard, and then they move to a new project. And we often celebrate the launch of new dashboard, but we rarely check if the old one are still used. And as I said before, when we go check, it's often an empty restaurant. So the big question that we ask ourselves at BlaBlaCar is why aren't data consumer using our tool? And this is something that is quite frustrating. So for the data team, it creates a lot of technical debt and also a lot of dead weight. And here, when I'm talking about dead weight, I'm talking about a heavy burden that is difficult to carry over. So here I'm talking about the 100 dashboard that you might have in your company and that are gathering dust. And it is also difficult for the data consumer side because for them, it is difficult to understand the ecosystem that you are providing to them. It's sometimes quite messy and it's very difficult for them. It's also sometimes difficult for them to use the data product because it might be quite old or not really up to date. And these two difficulties are leading to a possibly loss of trust, and it is really difficult to regain. So the question that we asked ourselves at BlaBlaCar was, why aren't data consumer using our tool? And in order to try to answer this question, we went first for a technical and quantitative solution. So after applying this solution to my squad, we take my squad as an example, we were able to reduce by around 40% the number of dashboards that we had in production. We were also able to reduce the number of unused dashboards And finally, also able to reduce the queue time of the refresh of our dashboard. So now you might wonder how did we do this? And we created a simple dashboard that's called Tableau Monitor, and that helps us monitor all the other dashboards that we have on Tableau. So you can think of it as 4 different categories. So the first one is the Tableau overview. So it's designed for managers, and it gives a quick KPI post check for them to be able to see what's inside Tableau platform. Then we have the Tableau track, and this one is designed for analysts to be able to follow the usage on the activity of their data product that they just delivered. Then you have the Tableau news, and it's quite straightforward. This one is just highlighting the unused dashboard. And then finally, you have the Tableau jobs, and this one is made especially to reduce the queue time that we have on our Tableau dashboard. So thanks to Tableau Monitor, it's easy to take a decision. And here it's a quick matrix where we have the usage versus the decision impact of a data product. So what you want to avoid is having a data product with low usage and low decision impact. And in this case, it's quite simple. You want just to delete it. And at the opposite, when you have a data product with high usage and high decision impact, this one, you know that it's bringing value to the company. So you want to keep it as it is, maybe improve it a little. Then you have tricky situation where you have high usage, low decision impact, or vice versa. And this situation, you might want to industrialize sometimes the data product. Sometimes you want to revamp it. And sometimes you have specific cases where you want to keep the dashboard as it is because it is very useful in a particular use case. So these are more tricky situations. So in order to build Tableau Monitor, we created a technical solution. So it's a custom Python script that helps us gather the Tableau metadata. And it's connected to the Tableau metadata API, extract the data, convert them to Parquet. Then we export everything into Google Cloud Storage and create the external tables. And finally, we have a small pipeline in dbt where we have the staging, the warehouse, and the reporting layer. And finally, we are able to connect Tableau Monitor to the reporting layer. And we first choose this solution because for us, the data BlaBlaCar data ecosystem, it's quite complex. We process a lot of data daily. We have a lot of tables, and we have a lot of dashboards in production. So sometimes it's really difficult to understand everything on the ecosystem. So that's why we went first for the technical and scaling solution. But the tech isn't the whole story, and we needed to get back to our data consumer and their feedbacks. So that's what we did, and we highlighted 3 feedbacks here. So I cannot find the data, the dashboard is too long to load, and the data look weird. So these are 3 main feedback that we can listen very often, and we categorize them as 3 different categories. So the unmet needs from the data team, the poor UX of a dashboard or a technical solution, poor UX of a data product, and then the lack of trust that we already seen. So these are 3 different feedbacks. In order to have more constructive feedbacks and to be sure that the Tableau Monitor was helping us going to the right direction, we thought that we needed something else, just not Tableau Monitor, but a data consumer forum where we were able to directly talk with all our stakeholders to be able to take collaborative decisions on the usage, on the ecosystem, but also on ownership, and to be able to answer all data-related questions from the stakeholders. So sometimes it can either be where does the data come from? Sometimes is how can I play with some data? And this is for us the way we can close the loop at BlaBlaCar for the data consumer. So first, we went for a technical solution that we can directly apply at scale. We improve the overall ecosystem by deleting some dashboard, try to merge together some others, things like this. And then we went back to the data consumer themselves and asked them what were their feedbacks on the data product that they were using. And thanks to this, we were able to close the loop and build better data product. And one key learning from this overall journey is that you can also try to let your stakeholders play directly with your draft data product and try to do some shadowing with them to get really instant feedback on what's working, what's not working, why they would use or not really use your data product in the long term. So,
yeah, if you need to remember only one sentence from everything which we just said, so on the producer side, I would say make your data producers proactive on keeping your contracts and work together with them, show them the value.
And for the data consumer side, is mostly about understanding how the data consumer are using your data to be more efficient in serving them later. So that's it for us. If you have any question.